All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Just Another G.I. Joe Show, episode number 39. Sorry I am running late. We had just literally walked in the door 10 minutes ago from Branson, and I got the computer up and the link sent out. Yeah, Fred, get off your high horse on that clock.
Get your priorities straight.
We are
exactly family or Joe talk.
Yeah, this episode here is going to be called Friend or Foe of FSS 7. So we're going to, Fred might change it. He won't like it or something. I don't know. But we have quite a few people on with us. We'll let everyone introduce themselves, starting with, we'll start with Bobby. I know he usually has something he has to say when he does these podcasts.
Oh, yeah. I got that legal BS
Yep. I'm just taking care of you, buddy. Taking care of you.
What's up, guys? I am Bobby Valla. I am a designer at Hasbro. However, any views or opinions I express on this show are not representative of the company that I work for. So now that I got that out of the way, talk some shit.
John, tell people where they can find you at.
Oh, God. Don't look for me.
Okay, well, go to Rick.
I'm Rick. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter as Shattered Glass Jazz.
And you guys need to make sure you follow him. He's starting to do some cool shit. He's a little cock tease is what he is. Going around showing 9 seconds of his man cave and then just stopping. I'm like, what the hell, dude?
He's just trying to keep you from breaking in and stealing it.
It's too far away from me to think
Dude,
about it.
Rick's man cave is the stuff of legend when I saw that.
That's one of 2 of his man caves.
That's why, oh, yeah, I just got on Instagram. So if anyone wants to follow me then on Instagram.
Yeah, I've been following you. It's a lot of bourbon, a lot of bullets.
If you're a heavy drinker or you're into guns, be sure to follow Bobby there.
When I first started posting on Instagram, I said, let me make sure I protect myself here. So I took a picture of low light next to the camera outside of the Joe room so that people know, like, oh, if you want to get cute and come to Bobby's house, he's got cameras and guns and pit bulls. So.
Jesus Christ.
He also collects in his spare time bear traps and other man-killing devices.
Yeah. Fred,
man.
Fred, you haven't been on in about a month and a half, so remind people where they can find you at, sadly.
Who are you people? I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore.
Yeah, he's like, why does that guy keep sending me links?
Hi, I'm Fred from Joe Battle Lines. That's the website that never reviews anything anymore. And but still posts a lot of crap on Facebook, and you can find me everywhere by just looking for Joe Battle Lines, because apparently that name made sense at the time when I had to come up with something in 2004.
Okay.
Also, Tiger Force sucks.
Yeah.
Are we on that again already?
He's never got off of that. So basically, if you've been living under a rock lately, you'll notice that the last 2 shipments of FSS that come out, I think me and John kind of touched on it a little bit on the last episode, Cobra Commander and Candor. There weren't...
Candor, what is this? Superman's bottled
I was going to say Candor. Somehow we've crossed into DC. Yes, the bottled city of Candor.
Things aren't going so well for Candor, so I'm just putting that out there.
It's too much sun on this bald head today at the water park. That's what it was. Too much sun. Anyways, I found to be a couple issues with Cobra Commander. One being the knees. Bobby did kind of mention before we went live that they did not use the Cobra Commander legs that went with that figure. Renegades.
No, they use the legs. They're the legs from the Renegades Cobra Commander that were also used for the Resolute Cobra Commander, I believe. But that figure came with smooth knees to match his pants. And then I noticed that on this Arctic Cobra Commander, he's got knee pads, and I couldn't place where those knees were from. But I noticed they were a little odd to me.
Okay, so if you have a Cobra Commander, you got them displayed, you don't really look up the skirt unless you got issues. But I had posed mine with both feet pegged in, And then I realized when I took him off the stand that one leg was really loose. I looked under there and realized that his left leg knee is the pin is coming out or not long enough to go all the way through, whatever the case may be. John gave me a couple of pointers. Sadly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Didn't work. I sent Angie an email. She says, send it back. We'll send you another one. I did that. I'll be damned if this next figure did the same damn thing.
They knew it was for you.
Probably so. Oh, exactly right. You know, it came uncarded, so I'm sure they looked through all of them to make sure. Let's make sure we screw Mike over.
I told him to send them my figure to your house. So,
so hopefully the next time I'm in Dallas will be soon, and then I'll go to John's house and he can just help me out with that one.
Yeah.
Along with the other crap he's working on for me.
I have this picture of like John sending Mike the direction saying, now very gently tap the peg in. And then I have this image of Mike with like a hammer holding the figure like, okay, this is gonna work.
I tried the hot water and I tried to push it in my finger, and I just you know, I don't like, I had to do what's that damn guy's name? The boxer? Shit, I forgot his name. I said
Kangor?
Whatever.
Tell him I wanted to see him struggle.
It's been a long day. But anyways, I got mine, and of course I told John this, that I had to put it underwater because the elbow joint was sticking really bad, and I didn't want it just to snap right off. So those two figures, the Cobra Commander seems to be, you know, I had issues. If someone else had issues, please let me know you had issues. But I'm just kind of curious if I was just the only one who had issues, or no one else has even opened theirs up, looked at it, or whatever the case may be.
QC seems to be not what it has been with some of the more recent figures from. And this isn't a club bash; it's just a straight observation. But I've never had problems in the past, and all of a sudden now I've noticed in this, like, you know, some of the JoeCon figures and some of this FSS. It's like something has changed in their factory or something, because
there could be, I mean, I'm not speaking on the club's behalf, but there could be, you know, at least a half a dozen different factors that are causing that. I assume, I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of it is due to the shortened timetable, because they're doing a lot of product. I mean, I don't know if you guys sat down and counted, but there were 30 different figures for JoeCon this year.
Yeah.
30. Yeah, that's more than we usually got in a year or two.
I can't really sit here and say that I agree or disagree with that, knowing that it's 30. But their last year of Transformers, we never saw this issue at all. I can't recall. Do you, Rick, there being?
No, I didn't. No, I don't remember any like big issues or even little stuff. I had one issue maybe the year before the last, so 2015, I had one issue.
But as far as 2016's box set,
the last year, I don't remember any issues.
I don't remember any issues either. And we're talking, you know, of course, robots not as much, maybe not as much detail as you would on a Joe figure.
The parts count is insane on Transformers.
What do you mean, G.I. Joe?
I'm just saying we didn't experience any problems when the parts count was insane. So
I think that may be a reflection of the fact that at the time, you know, Transformers were still being produced heavily, so the factory wasn't going to run into any speed bumps they didn't already know about. Whereas G.I. Joe, there's not anything else coming out right now, and hasn't been for a bit. So I think it may be that more than anything. And again, I'm not speaking on the club's behalf. I'm just using, you know, a couple of educated leaps of logic, and I assume that to be the problem, and it may continue to be that way going forward. I really hope not, but it's possible. So,
let's get into. We'll start with the least one to have the most issue, the less issues, which would be Budo. People got him, opened him up. I did not open mine up because I pre-sold mine, but I was, you know, the helmet is glued on. And then there were talks about something about the neck, and I'm not sure. Did you notice anything different or strange about the neck issue on this figure?
It's the neck is painted flesh tone, but it's a neck that's sculpted to look like fabric. It's honestly, it's not a big deal. Normally, when I actually post a review at JBL, it's usually Chris is the one that picks on all of this. I didn't have that much of an issue with it. The biggest issue that I had with Budo is not anything in the design. It's purely production. And that is, we have this awesome new head, but we glued his helmet down. And, and I mean, I've seen a lot of people that have, found ways of removing the helmet. One guy accidentally dropped it in his kitchen, and the way it hit the floor, it just popped right off.
Oh, really?
People have heated it up with a hairdryer. They've done different things. When you take the head off, the helmet off, it actually peels off a good hunk of the paint. And to me, it's like the club had posted something and they had said, well, we glued it because it doesn't fit. But then people responded back and said, actually, it fits just fine once it's unglued. I don't know why it was glued. To me, it's a shame because that whoever sculpted that head, cough, cough, did a really good job. I mean, I dig the head. It's kind of, I like it a lot better than the Retaliation Budo, which was Ken Watanabe. And I think this is more Budo, how he looked at a modern update to his vintage. And I'm just kind of sad that they glued it.
Maybe it's the same asshole that picked that torso with that ruffled neck.
Well, I will say in that dude's defense that there is a limited library of parts that would work in that particular design sense, and sometimes you have to take the little flaws. A good one for me that this is the same exact problem is the Ninja Force Scarlet with the flesh tone painted wrinkles on the fronts of her shoulders.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about that? Obviously, I think the thing to do there would be to leave them unpainted or paint them another color besides flesh tone. I think that's the only way you could have addressed that problem on the neck, and I don't view it as a serious issue myself, but
Yeah. I think the glue is the bigger thing, because people are just like, man, that head looks, I've seen pictures of him holding the helmet. It looks freaking awesome. It's like,
we have a late entry. Eric, a good friend of mine, he's been having issues getting on. He's been on the show once before. I just wanted so people know who he was. Eric does a lot of, I'm not going to say side work, but he does a lot of promotion for Just Nerd G.I. Joe show as well. He is a admin for a couple of the fan groups we run on Facebook. So, Eric, thanks for jumping in on with us.
Evening, gentlemen. Sorry for the delay and for the hassle. I'm using Windows 87 apparently, so every time I would try to connect, it looked like everything was swimming along, and then Google said no dice. So apologies.
Oh, you're good, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. But yeah, about this Budo thing, to echo Fred's sentiment, awesome freaking figure, but my helmet was glued on like sideways, so it was kind of frustrating. So, were you the one that posted on Facebook that the helmet was crooked? Yeah, like, just tilted to he was going to go hang out with the boys, and, it's Friday night, tilted to the side, no big deal. A little frustrated. Let me be an adult. If I want to if I want to glue my helmet on, I'll glue it on. If I don't, I don't. But don't make that choice for me at $40 whatever a figure.
That's about 40, with shipping and all. It's about 40,
And I mean, and I'm sure that even if it's just a fraction of a penny on the dollar, there has to be some cost involved to frickin' gluing the thing on to begin with. So,
from the production side of things, every time you add a glue operation, and this comes from somebody else I know in the business, but every time you add a glue operation in the assembly of a figure, you're just opening up a small can of worms of potential flaws. Misapplication, so many things can go wrong. So if you can skip it, skip it.
Right, right.
It could also be that the factory sometimes assumes a part should be glued because it's maybe not the snuggest fit. I got a Legends figure in the other day, and they had glued something on a figure, and I was like, well, we didn't ask for that. That wasn't on a cost sheet. That we'll call out for that, but I guess they just assumed because maybe the fit wasn't as snug, so we had to let them know to not glue that part on.
Yeah.
So I guess the real question is, when we talk about not just one, but both these figures having major issues, here's my question as a consumer, just like you would be a consumer in anything else. When at the point did the club know this was happening, and why were we not notified in advance that, oh, hey, by the way, we did this and this was also done, and this isn't going to, your helmet's going to be glued on, and your harnesses aren't going to click together. So how far? I mean, are you able to even consider to answering that, Bobby, or do you know, or can you say? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot. Just answer.
Yeah, I'll try to give some sort of answer. I don't know. I'm not in the. We don't see the samples of their figures until we actually get the final figure in. So it's not like when I'm working on my figures at work, I get, the way the process works is we'll get like a first shot or like an EP sample. That's usually just the molded colored figure. Sometimes they're in weird colors. Sometimes they're actually in the molded color you want. But that's just to test like, the articulation, how the accessories fit in the hand, that kind of thing. And then we'll get a deco sample, which is that next sample with the comments fixed, but with deco on it. And then after that, you get what's called an FEP, and that's the figure in the package. That's the way it should look, but you still have a little time to make any additional comments on it. It's not like it's on the boat yet. But to what John was saying earlier, they have maybe they had a truncated schedule because they're trying to get FSS 7 out quick. They're trying to get 8 out, and the figures with JoeCon. They just had a lot going on. So this is just me going out on a limb. Maybe that, when they got EPs, maybe they to save in the schedule, maybe they skipped EP and went right to deco sample. And when they got that, the factory was kind of like, okay, well, we're going to send them these samples at risk, hoping that there's no issues because we're moving forward with production to hit the scheduled date to get these figures on the boat to get them over here. So I don't know what happened, but I'm just throwing out a guess there that maybe that's what happened. But who knows?
Is this somewhat that could this have been the same issue as the issues we had with the box set as far as Blood's heads and the Laser Viper? Is that they were pressed on time and they for some reason forgot to do the most important thing in figure space?
When I saw that happened, I was like, okay, well that was probably just a press for time scheduling conflict, and that's kind of how that happened. A lot of or it could have been they may say they got samples in and the mustache wasn't painted, and they sent comments back to the factory saying, hey, the mustache isn't painted. The factory could have also missed that. There are times where I'll get some samples and I'll need to make 1 or 2 comments, or there will be times where I need to make like 10, 15 comments. And they're never, when there's a lot of them, they're never going to catch all of them. Even sometimes when I have to make 2 or 3 comments, they may miss 1 or 2 and I have to make that comment again. So it just could have been one of those things that the factory missed that, and it wasn't corrected for when those samples went out. But they corrected it. I think everyone got their heads, which is great that they corrected it as quick as they.
Yeah, and the execution on the replacement heads, especially Blood, seems to be really tight, really nice. So no complaints about that at all.
I honestly, personally, could not tell, I guess, a real difference in the Laser Viper heads, which to me it didn't really matter, because guess what? They're gonna have their helmet on the whole entire time they're in my case.
Yeah. I was kind of the same way. But when I got the Blood, like it made such a difference. And
oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That figure looks phenomenal. It's one of my favorite figures in the modern stuff. So
let me say something back to Budo for just 1 second.
Yes, absolutely.
I think Budo, whether you like the color choices or not, or anything you want to pick apart about it, I think it all would have been very livable. Hey, that's pretty good. It's all right. I can live with it, whatever. But when you paired it with the other figure in the same shipment, that's when things go off the rails and people really start taking it personal and making assumptions and leaps of logic that don't actually make sense. So I think that really affected this particular shipment, whether it was intended or not. I don't believe that it was, but for sure, I definitely think that the two of those things together really magnified errors, if you want to call it that. I don't want to go so far as to say it, but it really, I guess, is the right word for the situation. So
Yeah. And I want to. Hey, Mike, can I catch back up? So I want to go backwards a little bit because we got so many people in the room. I'm just going to touch on stuff. Cobra Commander, mine, I got lucky, I guess, because I opened. So let me backtrack. I opened up all of the sub stuff today, every single one of them, just to play catch up and get ready for the show, because I've had so much stuff coming in. But Cobra Commander, he turned out perfect, I thought. I had gotten his tank, the Arctic his tank from Mike, and I'm definitely pairing him and Mindbender and the Ice Vipers up. So I was satisfied with him. Budo, I think he would have been a 9 out of 10 if the glue wasn't on there, because I love the figure. I love all the parts. I had him in some really dynamic poses. I think he looks spectacular, except for I can't take his helmet off. So I really can't
throw him on the floor.
Well, I wouldn't want to, because like the way I'm going to display it, especially the ninja guys, I always have them in dynamic poses, and I'm never going to have them holding their helmets like I might just a regular Joe.
Rocker ankles are the devil.
But the rocker ankles allow me to do those ninja poses, so I appreciate them. And then that's. I'll wait for you guys to talk about. I'm not going to go into Hawk until we're ready to do that. But
we're coming to the climax of the show here in just a second.
But I really like those two. I was really satisfied with them. So,
I guess if no one else has anything else, we're gonna go into Hawk. Fred, do you have anything you want to talk about the rest figures before we go?
Honestly, I haven't really opened Cobra Commander.
Oh, you failure of a human being.
Oh, right. Look, I gotta prioritize, and it's just I'm not an Arctic figure person.
Are you still trying to catch up on that backlog of reviews that you?
Oh, dear God! Somewhere that's like a black hole sucking my soul away. But
I hope so. Jesus, you should be so depressed and feel terrible that you can get out of bed for 6 days.
That's it. I'm going home. No, it's just I thought Kangor I didn't have any problems with, other than he's like, if Big Boa is the bad guy, then this is the mirror universe version of Big Boa. So is he a good guy? Again, a big Kangor, Big Boa, it's just a repaint. For those folks who didn't get it, that's cool.
The original file card and check that out.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought Budo. As far as Budo's concerned, I don't have any problems with him other than the fact that you can't get his helmet off. That's it. And it's just I thought the colors looked good. Would I have liked more modern legs? Yes, we've talked about that before. I think the legs that are on there work well. It's funny. He's a samurai, and this is not a design thing, but I always thought it was funny. Samurai were mounted archers, and Budo never came with. He should have a bow. So I gave mine a bow because that just looks badass. But
he needs a Harley. Get one of those 1/18th Harley Maisto bikes.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, make him modern day samurai. Yeah, I don't know how you'd steer a motorcycle and fire arrows, but it would look amazing. That would be like the greatest action sequence ever. But yeah, no, I thought he was. I have the problem that a lot of people do with.
You could have him ride side saddle with Pinky Tuscadero, and there you'd be fixed.
Wow.
Happy Days reference. Demolition Derby.
Oh, the Demolition Derby was the best.
We're all
we just dated ourselves.
I was going to say, if one person makes a comment about the Fonz jumping the shark, it's over. So right. Do we move on?
Yeah, drop the bomb.
Okay, let's get to the hot mess of FS7, which is honestly, and this really sold me on FSS7, which was Hawk. I thought what the club gave us in the mock-up, the colors, everything looked awesome. I was super excited for this figure. And of course, just like everyone else, I was kind of like, Christmas morning and Santa Claus didn't come by. I was upset.
He did. He took a shit in your stocking.
Well, no, Mike. Let me amend that, and you're going to hate my analogy. It's not like Christmas. It actually is. It's not like Christmas morning came and Santa didn't come by. It's like you were expecting Rakondo, and you got you were expecting Roadblock, and you got Tiger Force Roadblock. So
I'm okay with that.
The figure is there. It's just that it's not. When you open them up, again, we were expecting more the olive drabs jumpsuit, the brown, and when you open them up, it's like, oh, that's different. Because it was a different color scheme. And then I think the lower were the legs or the lower waist is
lower torso.
Yeah.
Okay, so we knew we were getting a brown vest and darker green, and it came out surprisingly Funko colors. Now we do whatever, sun, bald head all day, park, leave me alone. And let's just we know there's someone at the club who is like a huge Fun School collector. Could this been his dying wish when he was being released from the club? Being released that hey,
his gallows nail.
Let's make it this color instead, and that's what we got. And it's not really. I'm not really happy with the color per se. Me personally. Now, does he have a place in my case? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, he's the one that's standing in the middle because no one else wants to be next to his ugly ass.
Oh!
So,
wow.
Let's just drop the bomb.
Yeah.
Wow. I see in that blinding light behind you.
He does have a home in my case.
Put him next to Scoop. He's very deep. Put him next to Scoop. It looks okay.
Why don't you let me take over this portion of the show here? So I can kind of set the record straight here.
Okay. So, let Bobby set the record straight.
This is also the point in the show where the Joe community now turns on me.
Well, we don't want that because we
no.
I haven't spoken yet, Bobby.
Well, I mean, I go ahead, Bobby. Then I'll take it.
Let me set it straight this way. Then you guys can formulate your opinion based on now knowing. So I did the build and the deco for this figure, and this was when I first came on the Joe brand in 2016. This was one of the first builds I did, just kind of being a fan, and I just threw it to them like, hey, if you guys are ever looking for a build, here's a General Hawk. I did a couple builds, but this was one of them. And so it was like literally the first build I ever did for them, because this figure was so special to me. It was one of my favorite figures when I was growing up. So it was one I wanted to tackle because I felt it could be done, and I definitely wanted to see it done. So I sent it to them, and then I think that was during the time where they were doing FSS 5. Probably it was, a few years ago. 2 years ago now. And then when we were talking FSS 7, they said they were going to put it in. I was like, oh, this is great. So I did a deco sheet to go along with it. Now, I am 100% to blame for the deco.
For the mock-up?
For the deco that was chosen.
For the paint colors.
Okay. I am the one that was responsible for these colors happening. So when I created the deco sheet for the club, I don't know if I was having an off day. I don't know if the lighting was bad in my office. I was picking colors through my Pantone book, and those were the colors I chose. Now, when I first saw pictures of this figure online, I was furious because I was like, what the hell happened? It doesn't look like the original. So I was mad. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Because I was looking forward to this figure so much because of how much I like this figure. And the next day I got to work, and I pulled out my deco sheet, and I pulled out my Pantone book, and I pulled up a picture of the figure from someone took online, and I was looking through it, and my heart sank. I was like, wait, did I really do this? Did I really pick colors this poorly? And it wasn't even that I picked Fun School colors. It just, out of coincidence, it just happened to look like Fun School. So my sincere apologies to anyone who purchased this figure and is not happy with it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everyone. I couldn't be more disappointed with, my color choice for that. Like I said, I wish I could tell you I knew why it happened, but you know, the club trusted me to provide them with that information. You know, they're probably like, oh, he knows what he's doing. He's from Hasbro. He knows. So, you know, I feel bad for them because they're getting, you know, negative feedback when in reality it was my deco sheet. You know.
Well, let me ask you this then, and again, you know, I mean, I like the figure, the build. I can make the harness work to where it will go together. There's a few tricks you can do. I know hot water stretch, you know, blow dryer or whatever. When you sent your color scheme over to the club, and it was pretty much different than the mock-up. Now, I'm not saying that you just sat there and said that you didn't realize it till after the figure came out. You looked and saw the difference.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the lines, and like I said, I'm not trying to sit here and bash neither you nor the club on all this. It's kind of the point of how is it that the club didn't pick up on their mock-up what they showed us and what you showed them?
I even screwed up on my mock-up. When I provide a deco sheet, I don't just pick the colors. I colorize the figure to make it look like kind of like the way they do their mock-ups, their digital mock-ups.
Okay.
I will digitally render the figure to make it look like that. Well, my digital render looked just like the 91 version, which is what their mock-up looked like. So they wouldn't have known until they actually got, you know, saw the samples of the figure. So it's like whoever did the card art created card art based on that. So I kind of screwed up in a lot of ways because me choosing that color scheme and providing that deco sheet with that 91 mock-up and not having those colors match caused it to be thrown off in a bunch of different ways. So like I said, totally disappointed by it. You know, I'm sorry. That's on me. You know, I wish I could go and, you know, buy everyone a new one and go to the factory and say, hey, rerun these in these correct colors. And, you know, I'll just pay for it out of pocket, but I don't have that kind of money. But, you know, I'm on Instagram. Reach out to me on Instagram if you want to, you know, talk about it. If you're going to, you know, reach out and say, you know, you're a scumbag, I'm not going to bother responding. But, you know, if you want to just, you know, talk about it, you know, like I said, I'm taking full responsibility for that one. Because I feel like I let down everyone that, you know, that was really looking forward to that figure, especially when, you know, Mike's like, yeah, this figure sold me on. It's like, you know, to hear that's awesome that a figure that I kind of helped work on made someone maybe want to buy this set or was really looking forward to it. And then to be disappointed by that is like heartbreaking. So,
I mean, and like I said, I mean, I'm not trying to bash on either one of y'all, but I mean, it's the point of, am I upset? Yes. Is the figure gone? No, it's in the case. It's displayed with the rest of my figures because I wanted that General Hawk. Granted, you know, I'm not, you know, trying to be a dead horse. You know, of course, the colors aren't right, but I mean, I'll live with it. You know, I mean, it's kind of funny. It actually is kind of funny how it did turn out. The Fun School colors. You know, a lot of people pointed that out. You know, so it is interesting that it did come out that way. I mean, you know, shit happens. You know, we all, you know, we all have mistakes in work life. You know, I mean, that's all I can really say on it.
I want to jump in here a second. You know, as someone who's made, there's a few things I wish I could take back over the years. I do want to say though that even though the colors are not what we might have expected, you know, we still got a General Hawk, and I'm kind of like one of those people that, you know, is like, oh, well, yeah, you know, look, the club is not working to the same scale as like Hasbro or a larger company where there might, and Bobby, you can correct me on this, where there might be multiple people that review something throughout the process just to kind of double check. I know I work in an ad agency and we're a smaller agency, and there are times where stuff doesn't always go through the QC process internally because of time and what have you. I still like, I would say 90% of that figure. And it was JD Onezi who pointed out to me, if you look at him, he actually fits in now with being the Fun School palette with the Eco Warriors. Yeah. So unintentionally, what we got is an even more Deke Hawk, and that's kind of a trip for me.
That was my plan. Ha 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 ha
ha. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like, look, the fact that you're on here and you're like, when you were talking, I was like, shit, man, like I'm not a touchy-feely person. It's like, does Bobby need a hug right now? Like, what the hell? It's like you were so sincere that, and you didn't have to. You could have kind of gone on and just said, you know what? Yeah, factory screwed up. Blah blah.
You got to.
I'm gonna thank you for staying. For hey, you know what? For just saying what you said, and you know what? If anybody's going to be a complete douche to you about it, well, that says more about them.
Yeah. I want to. Can I chime in for a second too?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I got that figure, at the time, everybody was ranting online. I opened up the figure, I messed with it for an hour. I had no problem closing the belts and stuff. It just took a little bit of pressure. Got it closed. I put them in a flight stand. Took some pictures. People seemed to like the pictures. I mean, I interacted and engaged with folks about it, and I didn't have any real rants. I had one or two people who were just like, "Oh, I'm not satisfied." But other than that, everybody seemed to like it. I got requests to take the helmet off. The next day, I came home after work, took the helmet off, took an extra picture. People liked that one. I liked it. Of the sub 7 figures, he's still in my top 2. So, and the thing about me and that particular figure, unlike Bobby, it wasn't like my favorite figure, but of that era and the Deke kind of animated guys too, he's a cool one. He's definitely up there. But so the colors really didn't bother me. So maybe I got lucky on that again, because the colors weren't a make or break for me. But the figure itself, it's dynamic. I have very few Joe figures that I can put into flight stands, and kind of if you're a scene maker like I am on my shelves and stuff, it's always good to have someone up in the air doing something. So
you like flying? If you got flying figures, I got a Bullet Man. I'll sell you.
Damn, I'm on Rick's Instagram right now, and I gotta say, dude, like I don't know what it is. Just it's a simple pose, Rick, but that freaking like sells the figure right there.
So there you go. That's my 2 cents. And I love vintage Joes. There's a place for the modern stuff, but I'm a vintage guy if you follow me on any social.
Well, I think the one thing that a lot of people are overlooking here, with regards to their complaints about the figure, I'm totally cool with the idea of it being a Fun School homage and just changing a couple of color elements to closer match the Fun School figure, and that just being how it looks. I'm cool with that. That doesn't bother me at all.
So I guess let's talk about this. What if Bobby had talked about how the colors were on his end? What happened with the torso? Do we know on that one, was the torso changed, and that's why the harnesses aren't fitting, or did they fit at one time and something was done wrong at the factory on them? Or
when I did my build and I tested it out, everything fit. I think that could have been because some of the figures I use are pre-production figures, so there's some stretch to them. The durometer is a little lower, so it's just a matter of, when a secondary is soft, it's easier to go on and stretch. So that could have been the issue. The durometer might have been increased by the factory when they did it, and then so it makes it a little harder. But one of you said, yeah, you heat it up a little bit, it stretches, you can do it fairly easily. But yeah, I don't know. I know when I tested it, it worked, but I don't know what happened to it. Now, like I said, because we're not, we don't see the samples, and that's the club's the one that sees that kind of stuff. So I can't really say to that end of it.
Okay.
So it seems like a lot of the issues that happened with both of these two, had it been a normal production process, like you described, this might have been caught, before, but because it's like as I think it was Bobby or someone said earlier, because the club's trying to do so much before the end. It just seems like it just kind of fell through the cracks until, you know.
I think that makes sense. I think hearing us just talk about it logically, that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of, even though, you know, I know we saw pictures of what it was going to look like, and I'd agree with everyone that you expect to get kind of what you order. We all kind of, that are really deep in this, we all kind of know where we are, and we know how much they're trying to, I won't say shove, but get the product to us as quickly and as much as possible, because there's no Joe figures out, and we all want more Joe figures. So it's a catch-22, right? I mean, with the situation that we're in right now.
You know, I have to agree, because, you know, we get it's like one day you get a package in the mail, and then like that very next day, if you follow the USPS tracking system for your home address, you will get a notification that a label was made, and it's like literally the next day the label was made for the next package.
Oh,
so
from shipment 3 and shipment 4, is that what you're talking about?
Correct, and they even have them with shipment 1 and shipment 2 that they're getting them out. You know, I really feel like they're trying to get all of 8 damn near out before the end of the year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would. Again, I'm not speaking for the club. I'm just I'm making some estimates and guesses. I think they obviously they have to do the pre-sale for the final 12 before the end of the year. As we all know, the contract runs out at the end of December, so they have to have that stuff sold. Now, whether it's fulfilled or not, that's a different story. Right. But the sale has to happen. So for that to perform like they want it to, they're going to need to have, you know, 75% of 8 out the door for some people to go ahead and buy. You know, not me. I have faith they'll deliver, so I'm not afraid of putting the money up and you know, as it is. But you know, with that, you know, it's something where they're kind of in a little bit of a pigeonhole, if you want to call it that. You know, they have to deliver so much of it before some guys will jump on and buy.
They even did the same for the final Transformer subscription service. Was that as long as the pre-sale is done before the end of their physical contract, they can continue taking the money up until that last date. But then they have really, what was it, Rick? I think 6 months.
Wasn't it like
7 months later before we got it?
I know it was at least April. It could have been May. It was at least 4 months. It could have been 5 months. And
because of some issue, either they were behind or whatever the case may be, they packaged 2 figures per box. Yeah. When they were sending out 1 figure per shipment, they had special boxes, foams made, and 2 figures came per box. And then the final 2 came with the bonus figure. So you had 1 big box that had all 3 in it.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of funny that this was, you know, I half expected to go to the mailbox yesterday and find another FSS shipment, because we, you know, like, holy crap.
Yeah, they are coming quick, and that's a nice surprise, and it's good to have, you know, fun new figures to play with. I'm not going to discount that at all. It's nice after not having much of, you know, anything at retail for the last 2 years, more or less. And even the end of the Toys R Us 50th anniversary stuff, the distribution wasn't that great on that, unfortunately. Yeah. So, you know, there's the guys out there that haven't bought a Joe at retail in 3 years.
That's true.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard about the final 12? Are they all going to hit us all at once, where it's just $500 like up front?
They haven't said anything. I do know from the conversation that they had with everyone at the con when they introduced this stuff. If I recall exactly, what they said is that you can buy just the ones you want. It's not going to be an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, they're 2 packs from what I understand. Yeah. You're going to buy them in pairs, and that's kind of how they introduced them. The impression that I was given, and I'm trying to go back and, you know, and I'd have to go back and watch one of the videos to get the exact phrasing of it. I was left with the distinct impression that, they were, in theory, they weren't going to be trickling out, you know, like an FSS. They were going to, when you ordered them, if you ordered, you know, a ton of them for those Sonic Vipers, Rick, You're going to get like this mega box at your house that's
Jesus.
nothing but Sonic Vipers and then the other figure.
Well, what Rick's trying to figure out is when he's got to shell money out for Joe's or for Christmas presents for Xander's.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, in terms of personal budgeting.
Christmas presents for Xander. Right. I was curious because I was thinking, like, you know, if they did 2 in October, 2 in November, 2 in December, not so bad. But if they do them all at once, I mean, you're probably looking at what, 400 something?
It's probably the equivalent
500.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Find one of each pair or one of each figure, however they're setting it up. It's another FSS minus the 13th. Plus, you've got the Night Stalkers, which people are, you know, I don't know anybody that just bought 1 pack of Night Stalkers for the most part. People maybe got 2 or more. And we got that killer Zartan and the Doom Cycle, which I'll be honest, out of everything they showed at the con, no offense to any single piece, I have serious need of that Zartan. I don't know what it is, that figure more than any of the others. I was like, well, maybe the Black Spider Rendezvous because I'm weird with Adventure Team. But I'm like, damn, I need that Doom Cycle.
Yeah, it's cool.
Let's just hope whoever did the build and the deco doesn't screw it up by picking bad colors.
Wait a minute. Why does he have a regular colored mohawk? He should be orange.
See, if I could have done anything with that Zartan, I'm in the same boat with you, Fred. I can't wait for that figure. But as far as the motorcycle goes, I would have loved if they would have given us a Dreadnought Ram cycle to go along with that badass.
Well, you know,
I want that too.
The Doom Cycle could be done in those colors. I mean, that would be an interesting compromise. I think
that would be pretty neat.
Yeah.
I gotta agree with Eric. I was going into so everybody had their little prediction about what the club's surprises were going to be, and I was wrong on about most of it. But I really honestly thought we were going to get a Dreadnought Ram because that is, you know, we've got a 25th update of the Ram, so we know the tooling's out there, and it was like, man, this would be. I thought the club would find some way to cram it in, and maybe if this were not the final year and they weren't trying, you know, it might have shown up somehow, but I think it just came down to, you know, we got so much time and how much can people affordably purchase, which I don't know if the club's ever thought about that a whole lot, but because yikes. You know, it's funny to sit there and think with the club not being around next year, how much more cash I'm going to have.
You'll find a way. There'll be something.
I've got cast figures that have your name on them, Fred.
Oh, you're killing me, man. I know what some of you're going to dangle in front of me, but
start buying some Marvel Legends.
Wrong scale. We're out on that. Done.
You know, and Fred, you mentioned the cost savings, and you now saying cost. It's fascinating to read around the internet how many people are so amazingly pissed off about the price increase in shipping, where, you know, since they were paying on installments, they got nailed. And unfortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I've become a much calmer person ever since I left His Tank. So I try to share.
Surprise.
You know, it's amazing how that happens, huh? But neither here nor there. So I tried to share just a smidge of logic, and actually shared the terms and conditions that are clearly freaking posted on the FSS website as you're signing up. And it states, hey, look, just FYI, this price may change, and it's subject to change. And by clicking yes, you agree that we can raise it to whatever, and it is what it is. And, you know, as long as it's not astronomical. But in the same respect, I kind of dig where those folks are coming from, because I don't really recall any price change or price increase anyway with the Postal Service recently. And I got in all at the same time, so it's not impacting me either way. But it's everywhere, and I don't know, you know, how the club is going to dig out of that one too. It seems like they're just getting nailed left and right with people that are just gripey.
The club, if the club realistically has had one issue, and maybe it's just from my perception, but if they've really had one major issue over all the years, it's communication with the members, and it's weird. It's like they communicate at times, and maybe it's just a tone, but it always feels kind of like with the club that they're like, yeah, that's great, thanks, to shut up. You know, at times. I mean, not their office staff. Their office staff is freaking fantastic. If you ever have a problem, those are like the nicest people I've ever had to deal with service-wise.
Oh, yeah.
But it's more like, it was kind of like with FSS 1, and they were doing the roster, and they were like, oh, these are fan request. These are the most fan-requested figures. And Surefire ended up in there. And I'm going, how the hell did Surefire end up in there? So it's, the club's communication has always been interesting at best.
They're just as you are, my friend.
Yeah. No one is more disappointed than we are. See you in NOLA. I almost had a T-shirt made of that just to wear to the con. I thought, no, it's their last year. I'm gonna give them a pass, but
hugs and kisses were passed around. Everybody, it's fine.
It's awesome though.
I'll tell you the only thing that hurt me at the con was seeing all the leftover Sky Strikers sold for $45 and $65 below what I paid for them back when I bought them. that was hard to stomach. I was like, oh my god.
Mike actually grabbed my credit card from my hand and went up and bought one for me on my card because I was like, do I not? Rick's over there like, yeah, get it.
Oh yeah.
So, it is what it is, but all in all, I still am going to say I think that FSS 7 is still a stronger roster. I mean, look, I still think it's a stronger roster than 8, only in character selection. I mean, there's so many. This is, of any of the rosters they've done, I think 7 is still like, for your money, like the best, at least for me, the best selection of characters they've done yet.
You're 100% wrong.
Who's left? Is anybody who's left?
Yes. Fucker, Tomax, Tiger Force, Jinx, and Fungal, who's the 4th one.
You'll want to speculate on what the 13th figure is going to be, Bobby?
He's on my shelf right now.
No, I'm sure he is.
When we first started, I turned my computer like this. I'm like, oh well.
It could be a well-executed custom.
But,
the 13th.
I so want to chime in on that real quick. I had to step away for a few minutes, but I'm listening. It's so funny how Bobby mentions that. Rick, do you remember that one episode of Cybercast when Pizza was on?
Yes.
He had every single BotCon exclusive on the desk in frame.
Yeah.
He did not even realize it was there.
Yeah.
And everybody dissected that thing for months.
People were blowing that thing up like they were detectives. It was hilarious.
Oh my God. It was. And then on another episode, he was doing something. He got up and walked off, and directly behind him was the box of Leo Kaiser that hadn't even been announced yet from Hasbro.
Yeah.
That was sitting right there behind him. And he walked off, and we all were like, hey, let's see if he left something out by mistake. And sure enough, there was that damn box sitting right there. And we were like, oh my God. So yeah. Sorry, I just had to chime in real quick on that one.
That's funny. Yeah.
The 13th figure is actually Hawk with corrected colors.
That's funny.
Handwritten notes by Bobby in the package.
I was gonna auction off my my I'm sorry note.
Send the proceeds from that auction to the Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
And also the Butthurt Joe Fan Society.
Yeah.
My significant other just tried to walk off with my 3.75 inch Ultraman that just came in from China today. Like, what? No, that's mine. You don't get that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got hijacked, man. And speaking of Ultraman, for since this is a Joe show, anybody want some of the extra figures? Because I don't need the rest of the assortment. Fred,
you may need to send me pictures. I need to see who's in this.
Well, yeah, you like weird shit, so.
Dude, I'm a 1/18th scale whore. I hate to say it. If it's 1/18th, I'll buy it. I have the Duck Dynasty figures, for God's sakes.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I got 2.
and in fact, okay, so Brian Kaufman years ago made the glow in the dark skull throne.
Yeah,
he casted this, and I got one of those at CoilCon. And I needed a figure to sit on the throne, so I have Cy Robertson from Duck Dynasty sitting on the skull throne. Because why the hell wouldn't I?
Right.
It's like the flag deck has got all the giant monsters that have come out in the last few years. You know, Godzilla and the Rampage monsters. All that. That's what's on the flag deck. You know, awesome. the giant Tyrannosaurus that just came out from Jurassic Park a couple of months ago. That thing is awesome, dude. It's made to swallow action figures.
It'll swallow 6-inch figures. That's what's amazing about it.
For $50, that thing was a steal of a deal.
Hey, we don't talk about that Mattel shit on this show.
Oh!
Well, you know, if the other company, I don't know what their name is, but if they had a presence at retail, it sure would be nice.
I will say, though, and this is a side note about Jurassic Park, they have the worst distribution on their 1/18 scale figures of any line.
You ain't kidding.
We're drowning on Series 1 here, and I'm seeing guys online like, look, I just found Series 3. Isn't it awesome? And I'm like trying to be happy for them, but in the back of my head, I'm just going,
Jesus Christ, I need Maisie.
Dude, I would take the second series. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of you guys have been down here before. Well, you know, anyway, Mike has, and he's not on here right now, but he's been down here before. I live in what I like to call a toy desert. You know, you have food deserts where there's not. Yeah, I live in a toy desert because none of the stores around me stock anything. I haven't seen a new Marvel Universe guy, even when they were still at retail. Yeah. I didn't see one for 4 years, and that was actively looking. You know, everything within about a 15-mile radius. It just they don't exist.
We're like that sometimes. Like it's funny. Like Marvel Legends, if it's an X-Men wave, not a problem. I can find every single one. There was a Spider-Man wave that had Mysterio in it like a month ago, 2 months ago. Never saw Mysterio ever. Never saw the wave, but I wanted that.
I'd say the last Marvel Legends to hit our local Walmart was the Deadpool with Cable Wave, and I managed to snag both the cables that they got because
I never saw Cable, but I got him.
You filthy scalper.
No, you know what it is? Cable is one of my favorites. So is Deadpool and Domino. I never thought I'd get really good original versions of all of them, and they run the same wave. So I have one set sealed, one set open.
So you're not only a scalper, you're also a nasty fanboy with no good comic.
I'm a hoarder.
Hopefully you got Shatterstar too, then, because Shatterstar looks really good with those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I picked him up. Even though in the movie he lasted about 37 seconds.
Right. Yeah, the movie didn't.
Spoilers, man! Spoilers! I haven't seen it yet.
What?
Hey, John, Luke is Deadpool is actually Vader's kid, and God, how have you not seen this?
How did I not see it yet? I couldn't get somebody to go to the theater with me. I'm not going to say who it is, but they're in the other room right now getting ice out of the freezer.
Well, since Mike has stepped away from the mic, what did you guys think about the news of Russ Heath passing?
That's sad. Influential artist. Yeah, it's, you know. I had similar feelings when Herb Trimpe passed. You know, while Herb Trimpe's work was never as dynamic as anybody else's, he had such a breadth of work and influence across the entire Marvel universe that it was just kind of sad. You know.
Yeah.
If I don't know if you guys follow Larry Hama's page, I'm sure you probably do his personal page. He had a really nice story to tell about Russ and lamented the fact that he didn't go see him one more time before he passed. So.
Yeah, and take him over to his favorite restaurant. And what I liked about Mr. Heath's work, it was just real meat and potatoes, like real artwork. You know, like you saw yourself in these characters. And obviously with the whole G.I. Joe dynamic. You know, it was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, it looks like, oh, look at Baroness in a dress, and I'm 12. Holy shit, this is great. You know, all this kind of stuff. But it just, when the news came out, it was like, holy cow, you know.
Yeah.
It makes you realize, and with all due respect to all of us on this line, how much older we're getting as the days go on, you know. Like,
yeah, well, you know, I've said it a few times before publicly with friends that have, you know, lost people and stuff. Time catches everybody. You're not going to have this one alive, so you know and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a realization I came to when my dad passed about 25 years ago. Is that everybody goes through that in some way, shape, or form. That you lose people, or you know, whatever that's important to you, and there's no getting around it. You just, it's part of life. You like it or you don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and you were talking about Russ's art, and I always go back to, God, I'm bad with numbers. 24. Right. You know, Cobra Commander Escapes. Yeah. And it was like, there was something about his art that it felt real. Like the posing, everything felt very real. Whereas, look, and I mean, I love comic books, and I love, you know, I love sometimes the really stylized stuff, you know, but like you look at like Todd McFarlane, or you look at, you know, even a Rob Liefeld who can't draw hands and feet, but you know,
that's a harsh accusation, my man.
but like Russ's stuff, like, you know, it just felt like, okay, these are the that everybody moved in a way that this could have been an actual film.
In the art, you know, in the comic industry, that's just called having a good foundation. You know,
it really is. Yeah. Exactly. Like the stuff I remember from that artwork is like when there was impact being felt, you could see the impact in the drawing, the muscles, the bones, the form. Yeah, I mean, either you have that or you don't these days. It's like Fred was saying, like you look at that and then you look at like stuff like Bruce Timm has done to influence everything, you know, since that Batman the Animated Series, and I love both of them for completely different reasons.
Yeah. You know, I love Mike Mignola's art for the darkness in the Hellboy, but I wouldn't want Mignola to do Joe, for example. And,
right.
You know, Heath was like he was one of those artists. It's like, man, Joe was good for him because he was a military guy. I mean, he drew military so well. So that was just kind of like John said, it's, you know, none of us are getting any younger.
Yeah.
And you know, there've only been a few artists that I feel like have really made like a major mark on Joe over the years, and I'd say Russ goes down as one of them, you know.
Without a doubt, easily. Yeah, it's, you know, his art was defining for a lot of the character designs in terms of what it was in the comic and stuff. So
well, and I read he did the breakdowns for Sunbow. Didn't he do the original character models for Sunbow?
Yeah, that I'm not sure on.
I think Diana Davis had posted that. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you know, if Joe does make a comeback and there's an animated series, I can't imagine that the stuff that we've been seeing lately. I can't imagine that we'd get anything like that.
Animation has. What did I read recently? They were saying like animation now. I think it was Dan Larson. If you guys follow Toy Galaxy, if you don't, you should. He did a video recently, and it was the rise and fall of Saturday morning cartoons. And he talked about how now what animation that is out there, it's done very cost effective, very simple. You're not getting the complexity of the style that we got in the 80s and even early 90s.
Yeah, there's no Super Friends, you know, there's no Space Ghost, anything like that in terms of the look, you know.
Yeah, and and even like I loved Renegades, but Renegades was a simpler animation style than Sunbow.
Yeah.
You know, you just saw, and it's kind of funny too because I do a lot of screen capping from Sunbow, you know, for like funny caption to pick things. There aren't as many animation errors anymore now too, which is, I know that sounds weird, but it was always a funny thing where you'd be like, hey, wait a minute, you know,
his color's all totally wrong, or you know, this, or
but yeah, like I think Rick, I think you're right. I think whatever next incarnation the G.I. Joe brand has, and you know, we've talked about that before, and whether and I don't think it personally, you know, it's not going to probably be Real American Hero. It'll be something different, but it's going to have a very different look to it, and you know, it's just. I hope they put the time, the money, the creativity
really the money. I still am big on, like, I know you talked about like if that efficient animation, dude. It's worth the time. It's worth the money to make something that that everyone internally loves, and then hopefully most of us find something awesome in too.
Yeah.
I looked at what happened to Transformers after Transformers Prime, and I look at Transformers Prime, and the series was fantastic.
Oh.
It had a music by Brian Tyler, who went on to do Iron Man movies and stuff. And that's looking back on it now, I even appreciate it a lot more because of where it ended up going with Robots in Disguise and then Cybertron. So I've kind of seen what's happened, and we don't talk about the Go 90 stuff because I can't watch it, and I wouldn't click it because I won't. But with G.I. Joe, I hope that they, if we do get something like that other than the movies, I hope that they really love it, and understand how much we love the brand.
Let me ask as an aside, Bobby. I know you probably can't divulge, but I'm gonna drop a question on you anyway about it. With HasCon scheduling next year, I believe September, right? Yeah. So with HasCon scheduling next year in September, do you think it's too early for us to anticipate seeing anything from G.I. Joe that might lead to the new projects and what they're planning to do around the movie?
I have no idea.
I know you're not involved in it directly with the company right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be great if there was. I find it interesting that we haven't gotten any movie news for a movie that's supposed to be out in 2020.
Yeah.
That's a little concerning if I were to just put my 2 cents out there. It's like nothing about a director, nothing about this, nothing about that. It's been like kind of crickets since
right.
I don't know what Brian Goldman, I think, came out at one of like the investor meetings and said that they were doing a Joe movie in 2020. But I don't know,
Yeah, you think you would be hearing something about pre-production and casting at this point, given the window for that kind of thing usually.
Well, and how long it takes to put everything together in post anymore too.
Oh yeah.
Movie production schedules are ridiculous.
Yeah. You can tell the fandom is hungry as well, because that same debunked script with the twins and all that jazz just on coming back up and up and up, and it's like, guys, no, sorry, I hate to break it to you, but please stop it. But
let's say, Eric, are you cutting out there?
A little bit.
I believe I am, so I was waiting to see if I caught up. All right, so yeah, I could understand the hunger, but in the same respect, I'm of the mindset of I'd rather wait for quality than just get something to, because they already made the Big H made it clear that this is going to be a new direction, and I'm all for it, man. We're going to make this brand die if we keep on expecting the same, X amount of figures, and I'll be damned if I sit through another fucking, hey, who's the 754th awesome figure? No. Let's move on to something fresh and let the kids jump on board. And I'm being on the way myself. I want to be able to see G.I. Joe through his eyes, like, of course I'm going to force feed him everything behind me. But in the same respect, I want to be able to say, hey, Pop, I want this, not, hey, you're going to take this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to try to put you on the spot with that question, Bobby, but I think in terms of the timeline, if they are going to meet that 2020, anytime in 2020, you're going to start seeing development stuff. And I know with regards to manufacturing, you have about a 2-year lead in on stuff, and if they're going to hit 2020, they should be in the middle of it right now. And I know that they're not, so that's a little concerning.
2020, we're at, it's actually a 12-month process.
Is it?
Yeah. So right now I'm wrapping up all my 2019 stuff on Marvel. We're starting to, think about ideating concepts for 2020, but it's not, we're not there in full production yet, because it's, we're usually a year out. 2 years would be amazing. Oh my god, if I had 2 years to work on a project, that'd be amazing.
I do want to throw a character out there for you that needs to see the light of the day next year. Sleepwalker. Let's do something stupid, man.
If John's getting Sleepwalker, then I want like a power pack gift set from
Oh, nice.
Oh, no.
Good call.
We got lots of ideas, Bobby.
I have a question. Would you be working on any of the new Power Ranger stuff?
No.
Oh, it's a good question.
I wanted to. When I found out we were getting the license before we actually said that we were going to purchase it, I was like, my hand went up. I'm like, right here, I work on Power Rangers. It was kind of one of those things where everyone in the office, every designer wanted to work on Power Rangers. It was something new, it was fresh, it's a fun brand.
Yeah.
So it was a long line to get on, but they got a good team on that now. The product should be pretty awesome. But I can't help but be a little jealous that I'm not working on Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And I do have one more question. And Rick,
no, you've used yours for the night.
Now you shush.
Yeah, you like an hour.
This is actually a question we would have for you on Cybercast. Does Hasbro have interns that set figures up?
Does Hasbro have interns that? What do you mean, like set?
You're talking about conventions and
yeah. We always talk about how everything's set up wrong. We're like, an intern did it.
No, we like for Comic-Con when we have that giant display in the middle of our booth at Comic-Con, we all set that up. We have our hand painter, Tony. He's a fantastic hand painter. He does all of our Marvel Legends. He goes down there and he helps set up for all the conventions, specifically Comic-Con, and he is the brunt of the work that goes into setting that display up. So
the reason we ask is on the other podcast, me and Rick do Cybercast, that we talk about Transformers, and when we see Transformers at conventions being set up by Hasbro, 9 times out of 10 they're mistransformed incorrectly.
It happens a decent amount of time.
So we always say Hasbro intern.
That's our thing. We always say it. But is that
we're
true?
just curious. Just being an ass, just asking.
Maybe they let a marketer transform them.
Oh.
There you go.
Good answer. Good answer.
I did want to say on a personal level, Bobby, I just got the newest Wolverine from the Marvel Legends 6-inch wave last night. Yeah, my best friend gifted it to me, so I don't even have to pay for it. Nice. Definitive version of that character.
Which ones did you work on that one, Bobby? Which other ones did you work on?
Like John, which one are you talking about? The one on the motorcycle?
No, the one that comes in the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave.
The Tiger Stripe, yeah. No, that's the X-Men waves are my boss. My boss Dwight. He does the X-Men waves. He hasn't given those up. The first 6-inch I started working on was the figures with the vehicles. So Ghost Rider, Black Widow, Wolverine. For this,
I'm looking forward to getting that Wolverine.
Wait, Ghost Rider was one of yours?
Yeah.
Dude,
and then
on that thing.
We showed the next series of vehicle riders for 2019 at Professor X with his hover chair, Deadpool, and I'm officially taking over all of the Spider-Man Legends starting with 2019. So that Kingpin Build-A-Figure is mine.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's my.
Hey, make sure distribution, man. See what they can do with the distribution, because I still haven't found. I've already said Mysterio, but man, it upset me. I'll get one.
Like I said, some of us live in toy deserts.
I'll pay. I'll end up paying 30 for it.
It's a good thing that we're all on the line together, gents, because what works out good for you is I'm in God's waiting room where there's a Walgreens literally every 15 feet. And Walgreens is popping for Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
I didn't know I wanted those Fantastic Four figures so badly until I saw them, and it was like, okay, you're coming. And then I see all these other ones that I've never seen before, like Cable and the Fungal Deathlock and all these other guys. I was like, holy shit, Walgreens! Who knew? So if you guys just let me know what you're looking for, and I'll go hunting.
Let me ask an aside about that too, Bobby. If regarding the Walgreens exclusive stuff, the Walgreens exclusive Marvel Legends figures, obviously the big hit, and they had some really good character choices and stuff. Is that stuff that was designed with the Market 6 type thing in mind, like they did with the Dollar General GI Joes and so forth and so on? The lower price point, the little bit lower price point toys for the lesser retailers who could take these things. Is that where the Marvel Legends stuff originated with Walgreens, or do you have any information on that?
I don't. I'm trying to remember how exactly it started. All I know is that we love what's going on with Walgreens right now because it just exploded, and they've been a great retailer taking that stuff. But from what I know, the buyer for Walgreens is a huge fan, so he understands the market and what fans are looking for. So we started doing these exclusives, and we came up with some really compelling exclusives at first to put out there. And I think one of the first ones was like the Agent Venom, such an awesome looking figure. And then it just started kind of going from there, and doing Fantastic Four, because we knew that people wanted Fantastic Four, and Walgreens was all about taking Fantastic Four. So we're glad that the fans are getting what they want. We're glad that Walgreens is wanting to keep putting out these exclusive. But to what you guys are saying, like seeing waves of legends. I was at a Walgreens. I'm trying to. It was when we were at JoeCon in Tennessee. Me and my wife, we took a walk, and we ended up about a mile or two away, and we stopped in a Walgreens. And I saw an end cap with Legends, and then I saw Legends in the aisle, and I was like, "Whoa, where am I? Oh, I'm in a Walgreens." Right. it was really strange, but very cool at the same time. I'm like, "This is awesome that they're taking so much and they're selling it, and people are going there, and that's great."
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and they're the spot to grab the Transformer exclusives now too. Yeah. So it was like to be able to complete the clones and to go grab the Wreck-Gar and all that jazz. It's been awesome.
I think from a company point of view, it's nice to have a retail partner who's really interested in what you're doing and thirsty for it. Right. Like some other retailers were 10 years ago. So as far as Transformer exclusives go, until they get to the Deluxe Insecticons, I'm out.
Hey Bobby, if I don't know I know you said your boss is working on the X-Men stuff. If you need me to send him a Mutant Massacre graphic novel or Age of Apocalypse, I can do that if he has not read them, so that we
Age of Apocalypse Weapon X would be pretty sporty. That'd be all right with me.
I want like 20 characters.
Every trade paperback on the shelf in his office.
So just remember Mutant Massacre when you get into the office, and think about the Marauders. That's all I'm going to say, Marauders.
You see, Bobby, you've opened a can of worms now.
we got through some G.I. Joe. Now we're on Marvel Legends.
Spider-Man, it's going to be like every day. Hey, what about an issue 122? Can we get that guy in the background in the plaid shirt? Yeah, he'd be awesome.
Good point, Fred. Now you got me thinking.
I wanted to say too, Bobby, tell Dwight he killed it on the X-23 Wolverine 2, the one that's getting ready to come out right now. That thing
I'm not giving him praise for anything.
Dude, as far as Marvel Legends goes, I only collect Wolverine related stuff or the occasional odd character like, what's his freaking face, the robot guy from a few years ago. Oh, Machine Man. When they do something odd like that. So it's strictly just Wolverine related stuff. And those figures are, I don't see how they could top them if they went back and revisited them a couple of years down the line. They're so definitive. So
I just want another Spider-Ham.
We just got Cloak and Dagger, guys. Cloak and Dagger.
We can go way deeper in the well than that if you want to do that. Comics I can do.
Yeah.
Until we get to Razorback, I'm out.
Yeah, when we try to, I look at what we're putting out now, and I know a lot of people hold the Toy Biz stuff in high regard, but I don't think any one of those figures comes up. And I see what we're putting out, and we're putting out such a quality product that I'm like, to your point, it's like, how would we ever one up this? And there's only a few instances where we can go back and revisit a figure or correct something. For instance, on the movie Thanos Build-A-Figure, it came out and his shade, his skin tone was a little darker, and he didn't have some detail on his armor. And then I did the 3-pack with Doctor Strange and the Light of Iron Man. So after seeing Infinity War, we were like, hey, we should fix his skin tone because he's a little lighter in the movie. So we did that, and then I did all the graphic work, the tampo that goes on his armor here to kind of give it that extra touch of detail. So I'm glad that that people aren't like, oh, we're getting 3 figures we kind of already have. Instead, they're saying, hey, this is great. Look at all the stuff
it's a
he
great
corrected on
upgrade.
Doctor Strange, on Thanos.
Yeah. There's a new head on Thanos too. So I haven't found it yet, but I want to find it.
I'll tell you, I'm a scale snob. If it's not 3.75 to 4 inch, I don't want it. But I'm making an exception for some of those because they're so damn nice.
Yep.
You know, people keep floating the idea of 6-inch GI Joe, Black Series type GI Joe, and while that would be cool, I can't see myself going back and rebuying characters that I've already got 10 different versions of, 15 different versions of.
But you can do a 6-inch. I know we've gone down this rabbit hole before, but I feel like if a 6-inch GI Joe Black Series came out, me and Rick both feel that you can put the community Marvel Legends into it who don't do GI Joe.
I totally agree. We've talked about this on the Cybercast show too. Being an advertising person, and I just saw this recently with something that I had been working on for like 8 years, and we repackaged it, and I can't believe how amazing the response has been since we repackaged it, and I know exactly the angle I took, and I know all the things that went into it, but it's basically the same thing, but it's been repackaged and it looks better, it feels better, and I totally think that it could generate buzz back into the hobby and bring some new people in. I do not think that we should ever get rid of the stuff that brought us to the game and that 3 3/4, because I love it and I love vehicles with it as well.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of having both of them simultaneously, where you can make a choice, where John could stay with the stuff that he loves and he holds dear to his heart, and we could go into a 6-inch territory. We've been talking about these Marvel Legends. One thing I got to say about Marvel Legends is I buy a lot of stuff. I'm buying Hot Toys. I'm buying Motu. I'm buying a lot of stuff. Marvel Legends at $20 feels like for what you're. Yeah, it's the best deal going today, I think, in the toy market. That's just a personal opinion. $20 for a Marvel Legend figure. Look at like one of the superposable Spider-Mans, or you get that figure with all the right cuts and the poses that you can knock out. And the only nitpick I've got with Marvel Legends, and I'd be okay with an extra $1, is a stand or a flight stand like some of the ones that we used to get years ago. That's my only nitpick with Marvel Legends. I think it's the best deal out there.
Marvel Legends are an interesting example about how I don't know if there's enough collectors to support multiple scales for brands anymore. And I'll be honest, so when I was a Marvel Legends guy, when I used to work at Ring of Collectors way back in like 2000, I was the guy that, and when the Marvel Legends line debuted, I was the guy that was reviewing Marvel Legends for the first 5 or 6 waves. and I mean, that was my thing. Marvel was 6-inch. And then Marvel Universe came out and I went, Legends who? And dove whole hog into the 4-inch scale, because now it was the same scale as Star Wars and Joe. Yeah. And as much as I loved that line, it didn't last compared to the 6-inch expectation, for superheroes. And it's like, I look at Joe, kind of the reverse. Joe started in this 3 3/4, 4-inch, now 4-inch scale roughly. And I know there are a lot of people out there that are like, oh, but I would buy every single Marvel Legend or Marvel 6-inch Joe that came out. I just don't know if there's the support, knowing that Joe is a smaller share of the market right now in the Real American Hero than Marvel is. And Marvel is pretty much a 6-inch line now. I mean, look, I thought the 12-inch Legends were amazing. But for some reason, the resonance is still at 6-inch scale.
Yeah.
That's just where the market's
it's a good in between. I look at even I love Hot Toys stuff, right? But at some point there's an end of the line. I'm looking at what I want to get rid of so I can put more stuff. It's a shelf stealer. It sucks up space.
Well, and that's why I parted with a lot of my older Legends in favor of Universe, because I have like 3 shelves that are just solid Universe, densely packed.
And you got with the Hot Toys, you could get like the amazing sculpts, and you see all the detailed and the tailored clothing. with the small stuff, you can get some amazing things. I look at the Pursuit of Cobra stuff, and I'm blown away by what they accomplish in that Pursuit of Cobra line. It's amazing. But then you look at the Marvel Legends in the 6-inch scale, and for me, the 6-inch scale is that middle ground of modern collecting. You got the people that don't have enough space for all the hot toys or the money to keep collecting it deep. The small stuff, a lot of the people that were collecting the small stuff or grew up with it, a lot of them did move to the 6-inch. It's why Black Series is so popular. It's why Marvel Legends is so popular. It's why they're going with the deep cuts. It's a nice middle ground.
Is Black Series though? And this is an interesting point, Rick, and I don't know the answer. Black Series around here is just peg warming. Like, and you know, with Black Series, like my Walmarts, they had like the speeders and stuff, some of that, and it went to clearance. And the same thing with like the TIE Fighter, because unfortunately at a 6-inch scale, you're going to produce figures.
There's
you're not always get that.
There's always going to be a figure or a vehicle that doesn't sell well for a variety of reasons. But the overall line, I'm looking at how much we're getting. I mean, it's hard to keep up with it. Marvel Legends is the best example.
Oh, well, Marvel Legends is...
I mean, the last 3 months, and I'm a cherry pick. I don't collect all of them for the Build-A-Figure. I collect the ones that I like, and every once in a while an X-Men wave or something might come out. I'll get like the Apocalypse wave. But I buy the characters that I like. There's been like, what, 5 waves in 3 months? It feels like 5 waves in 3 months. It's a lot to keep up with.
Well, and Marvel's also got the side benefit of you're tying to a property that has active media support.
Sure.
I mean, let's be honest. Disney bought Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
They're not letting that thing sit. You know, we've got some of the biggest movies of the past couple of years. They're almost all Marvel.
Yeah, the fiction is key. It always is.
You know, and the cartoons to a lesser extent, the video games, and Marvel is just everywhere.
Just the media presence of it overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how.
I'm sorry, after you, Rick.
Oh, it's funny how like Transformers and IDW, they had this really cool connection where we were getting IDW figures inside of our Transformers waves, and somehow they made that happen. You know, for someone who loves the comics as much as I do, I look at like the G.I. Joe comic that Larry's been doing, and all I want are the figures that have been in his stories lately. Like, I want that Dawn figure. I'll take a new Stalker figure. I'll take a Rock and Roll. I look at the stuff that we're getting in there, even the mission stuff lately with Duke and Baroness and Destro, and I can't imagine having a wave out that had some movie figures and some stuff from the comics and stuff. Again, it's all fiction. I'm just saying that like Transformers got lucky. Transformers had movies that did really well, and because they did well, we ended up getting cool stuff from the comics that some of our deeper cut guys like me could appreciate. And that's how we did it, is through movie money, obviously.
I will say this about a G.I. Joe Black Series line. If they get to Hit and Run, I'll buy that. That'll be my end point. But I know that they're never going to get to a...
If we get to it and they make it, I will buy you one, John. I will buy you one. I promise you.
Well, you know, if they were to get to a 3rd-tier series character like that, and I'm being honest, he's 3rd tier. It's cool as he is, he's a 3rd-tier character. But if they were to get to something like that, you're sure I might consider an entry point at that time. But I've got around 10,000 action figures that are all in one scale. I don't need to add, you know, another 300 or 400 to it.
I hear you.
I had trouble with Sigma 6 when it came out. Not because the figures were bad.
No, the figures were
the figures were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were great for kids. They were a Joe line designed that, you know, and rugged enough that I could give it to my buddy's kids and know that they would survive mostly intact. You know, never underestimate the destructive power of a 5-year-old. But you know, I personally didn't buy a lot of them because, to John's point, I didn't want to go out and have to recollect everyone I had before. It was enough with the 25th line for a lot of people, you know, that hey, suddenly you're rebuying figures that you've had.
They were
for years.
They were also very stylized. I just wonder, like, if they had come out with something that was a little more what we knew, what we loved, and they gave you like that favorite character.
Well, and Joe has shifted too. I mean, when Joe when I was growing up with Joe, it was just as much a vehicle line as it was a figure line in many ways. You're not going to get a 6-inch scale Mobat, you know, or a 6-inch scale. You're never going to see a 6-inch scale Sky Striker that has anything resembling realistic proportions, because it would be huge and it would be expensive. You know, the Vamp is my favorite Joe vehicle of all time. Anyone who says otherwise can suck it.
That's a great
vehicle. The Vamp in a 6-inch scale is going to be pricey.
It'd be like something they might do in a Kickstarter or something.
And see, I don't want Joe to go Kickstarter route. Whatever Joe does, look, Kickstarter's for collectors. I want Joe in stores where, you know, my fiance's nephews, who are 2.5, and I don't remember how old he's too young to do anything, so he's like 9 months. But anyway, I want those guys in the next couple of years to be like, you know, taking them out to the store as Uncle Fred, and Uncle Fred's buying them stuff, and he's like, here's the newest version of G.I. Joe, and here's G.I. Joe's, you know, vehicle and his flight pack and whatever. And these, next thing you know, these kids are running around the house like madmen playing with G.I. Joe because they're the next generation.
You know, you know why you don't want a G.I. Joe Kickstarter? Is because it will never get funded.
Yeah. We've had that discussion a couple of times.
I want the choice. I want the choice. When I get my sale barge, I promise to talk about how much I love it, because I know it's going to be amazing.
Did the sale barge?
I'm a vehicle lover that grew up in the '80s with Star Wars.
You're going to need to clear out like the back corner of that room, Rick. Yeah. That thing's a beast.
I told my wife we're putting it in the den over the sofa on its own shelf, lit.
You're going to build a coffee table over the top of it that's glass. Now it's functional.
Right.
It's was it Chris McLeod's wife, Kate? Did she do did she do a Terradrome coffee table? What did she do?
Yeah, it's Terradrome coffee table.
I'm like, man, like that's, now you can't argue that it's taking up space in the house because technically it's furniture.
Well, no, actually, my best friend Casey in college, he and his 2 roommates actually had a flag for a coffee table. It was more or less a shell, but still, they had a flag for a coffee table, and that was their coffee table for 4 years. So,
smart choice. I like it.
All right, guys, we've been at this a little bit. I know we've talked FSS, we've talked Russ Heath, we've gone down a Marvel Legends rabbit hole.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Fred, I have a request from one of our listeners. Benny, California, said, "Tell Fred to start posting on Google Plus so we can see his snow troopers in the snow."
Google Plus. It's still a thing, really. Really, it's a thing.
Is it really?
I always laugh whenever I live in central Illinois, and it seems like, and I'm right at the snow line. So if it's a real cold winter, you know, and the snow dips south of us, we'll get a white Christmas and white winter. But last couple of years, it's been on and off. But whenever I get Arctic Troopers, whether it's from Hasbro, whether it's from FSS, inadvertently, they always hit in the damn summer.
What is this snow?
Job in my yard going, hey guys, you know.
What is this weird snow thing you speak of?
Oh, you live in Texas.
Yeah.
Snow, I'll send you some. It'll be wet when you get it. Is there anything else anybody here wanted to talk about tonight? I know I don't know if we want to speculate on 13th because Bobby won't pan his camera over further, and nor should he. In all fairness, is there anything else Joe-wise you guys wanted to talk about?
Shot in the dark, yes, on 13. How about
what was the clue again? Is it first character appearance? Not part of a sub team? Is that this one?
I think so. Yeah. Part of the first. That's a tough one. I mean, because it doesn't give male or female, which would narrow it down.
Oh, and it's modern. It's first modern appearance. I think they've clarified that on the forums.
Yeah, it was a male modern. First modern. It's male, right? That's what I thought I heard.
I don't think they said gender.
Well, if they specified, that would narrow it down considerably more.
A modern male, at least male. Let's think of that.
I know what I know what I want, but it's not going to happen.
What you want, what we get's too little different things.
Yeah.
Fred's probably thinking like Hector Rodriguez or whatever. The
I wanted Hector Ramirez. Don't you shut up, John?
Whatever.
No, blanking on his name right now.
What does he look like, Fred?
He was the EOD guy in the yellow. He looks like Scoop. I totally can't remember his. I'm blanking.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because with Lightfoot could be you could give me a Night Force Lightfoot and I'm happy because then I can go with my Night Force set. You could give me a standard Lightfoot and I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably be orange.
But didn't their clarification say that it wasn't someone that could be in a sub team? So doesn't that?
Oh yeah.
It's not Stretcher because I want it.
Thanks for killing my Lightfoot dreams, Eric.
Sorry. I do that well. I'm a dream destroyer.
Bobby, you got any input there?
No.
I'd laugh if it were Super Trooper. I think that would just be the hilarious.
Oh yeah, Super Trooper.
That would be great.
Especially after when they showed the commercial again and everything at the con. Man, I'd go nuts. I bought those Chrono Ops figures from Marauder just so I can customize Super Trooper.
Nice.
All right, that's it. You killed the conversation by bringing that up. We're done.
Well, we tell you what. Someone actually mentioned on the thread they wanted to know I know we don't do political. But y'all heard where John McCain passed away.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
Well, you'll probably see on the news here soon. There was an active shooting at a high school football game.
Damn it!
No.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah,
that's why I had to
go down that rabbit hole.
I had to mute just a minute ago because my daughter was at that game.
Oh God bless. Is she okay, man?
She was actually she left early. She's already graduated from the school. She just went to the football game with a few people. She said, "I just want to let you know for you see on the news, I'm already on my way back to Benton that there was an active shooter at the football game. My wife just ran here. That's why I paused again. She was like, "Where's Logan at?" And I'm like, "She's already on her way back home."
Wait, when are people going to pull their heads out of their asses and understand that is not the solution to any problem in the world at all? Period.
It's just it's a rivalry game, is what it is against Benton and Bryan. They do it every year. It's called the Salt Bowl. They do it at the big stadium in Little Rock, which is called War Memorial Stadium, where the Razorbacks play at a couple times a year. But that's where it was at.
Holy shit!
That's still dumb. It's dumb.
It's ridiculous. The absurdity of people, and it just blows my mind. We were little kids. How many times you remember running around your neighborhood with other little kids? All of us had fake guns, and I don't ever recall wanting to grow up and start shooting shit out of people. Now it's so commonplace, and it's become so numbing. And then you
just overlook it. Yeah.
It's fucking absurd. I mean, right up the street from I say up the street, and guys, again, part of my language, I tend to use the F word as a noun, a pronoun, an adjective. Right up the road from my house, though, is where that stand your ground case happened.
Right.
And it's like, holy shit. So if you get lippy with me, unfortunately, I'm a hot-headed Italian asshole. I'm going to get lippy with you, but that means you shoot me now? Oh, okay. So, that's the world we live in, and it's just it's absurd, and it's crazy that we've got to bring up kids in this nonsense. So it's up to us to fix it.
Yeah.
But hello, can we talk about G.I. Joes again one more time though? Because I'm getting
woohoo! And, go home and watch some Sunbow, man.
Hey, here's something I wanted to talk to you guys about since you guys were talking about comics earlier. Did you see that pretty kick-ass exclusive cover that Sanctum Sanctorum is going to have for Silent Option 1?
Yes.
The old school. Yeah, that's badass.
I really want that one.
Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can't figure out a way to share a janky picture because I'm on my phone using. Wow, this is so Fisher Price.
If only Mike knew how to work screen share.
Oh, hey, I could do that.
Oh no!
Oh God, no!
Hold on a second, guys.
No. We almost made it through a whole show.
Damn it! Why? What was I thinking?
Y'all are so mean.
Who doesn't love pinups and G.I. Joe? Come on.
That's actually a pretty cool design. It's very reminiscent of the Haley Atwell Marvel series.
Carter.
Yeah.
That's Carter. Yeah.
Man, that's one show that shouldn't have ended.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
just gonna come out and say it.
I totally agree.
Carter was the bomb.
Can't they just bring her back and give her another show at least?
Oh. and I don't think it was a ratings thing. I can't imagine. I mean, it was. Well, maybe it was. If I like a show, it's pretty much doomed to die.
Firefly.
Yeah.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for that.
I'm finishing up episodes of the last season of The Expanse right now, and I'm on the next to the last, I think. And that show was so good, and of course it got canceled. You know, jeez.
You see where they canceled The Big Bang Theory?
Oh, finally, God.
Yeah, figures I didn't watch it. It went on for 12 years.
I stopped watching after the first season when it got way too condescending.
Yeah,
condescending, but it became, instead of just being like geeky humor, it became, hey, look, I'm a geek, but we're friends, and this is like Friends, but we're geeks, and go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
the
insincerity in the writing was rampant. So
yeah, and you know what? You're all, how old are you now? You're 35. You guys still your roommates? What are you doing with your life? Like, stop buying the fucking comic books. Buy a like,
holy shit! They just opened up the floodgates.
I will say, stop buying the comics, but definitely.
I'm 40 and I still buy comic books. I'm screwed.
Oh, I'm buying 30 books a month, folks.
Yeah,
that's a really good point.
They were priorities are still straight, though. You know.
Yeah. What were you saying, Bob? That was the point.
That's a really good point. I never thought about that. They were physicists. They're probably pulling in $100K a year, and they're sharing an apartment.
Get out of here.
Maybe they lived in San Francisco, and that was the right.
We're in New York, right? So
that is valid.
Yeah.
Is absolutely absurd.
What are you doing wrong with your life?
Looks around his office right now. Well,
my internet's not good enough at home, so I come in and I cheat on the sly at work. Fred,
it's true, man. I can't play Xbox with my better half watching Hulu because I'll get lag in Halo.
And you don't want to get a lag death, you know.
It happens far too often.
What are you doing still playing Halo? I mean, the world's moved on.
Have you met me? I still collect Joe figures. For God's sake.
Dying franchise and a dying video game series.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that's the last time I speak to Mike again. No, I'm kidding.
It's the sun on the bald head all day. That's what it is.
Yeah.
When I jump in my hot tub after the podcast, I'll contemplate what I'm doing wrong with my life.
I would say you're doing all right. You know, it's a nice portfolio you're building.
Bobby, of any of us, I think you walk into work every day and go, you know what? I kind of like where I'm working.
You know what? It's going to be a good day today.
No. I'll tell you right now from personal experience. Anytime that you take something that involves a hobby of yours and you monetize it in some way, which he's doing the design stuff, you're gonna have days where you hate your life completely because of it. So I won't speak for Bobby specifically, but I will say that monetizing your hobbies sucks all the life out of it.
It sucks when you make things for people and those people kind of take it too far with how they don't like something. And you're like,
Bobby, Bobby, just so you know, just so you know, it's not just that the toy industry. I promise you, I hear stuff weekly, dude, and my skin has gotten so thick that I don't mean to laugh, but sometimes I just laugh, and you just have to. I hear you.
I'm in software development, so I hear this shit every day.
Yeah, right.
Hey, let me throw this out there.
On the planet, or
the good thing is, hopefully you get to hear good things too. That always, I can hear like some bad stuff, but if I hear a few good things, it really helps. I'll tell you that.
But there's less good voices. It tends to, negative people are the ones that want to talk the loudest.
That is it. You hit
especially
it
on
the
internet.
head.
Yeah, the
Very true.
amplified that negativity.
You guys try to manage a Kickstarter and deliver that shit.
Where's my Cowboys? I need the Cowboys.
It's not out yet.
Where's my package?
I need something tangible.
You could have bought test shot pieces. What do you want from me?
You said that this vest was going to be in red paint with blue transparent lines. What? When I don't see them.
No, hey, I'm gonna take a page from the club. It was something that happened in China. We can control it. It's too late to fix it.
Yeah, John, you promised me that the cowhand was going to have boxers on. I can tell by looking at this figure. He's clearly going commando. I feel cheated.
He didn't want any painting lines. It's like that.
Who does want painting lines?
Oh, that's too much information about you.
And on that note, sweet Jesus.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to call it an episode there for the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rick's panties killed the show.
We're out.
Later, I'd read his Patreon account.
Oh God!
I do want to thank Bobby for coming on and clearing the air up. We actually had a few positive comments on the thread about it. People make mistakes; they understand. Thanks for manning up and owning your mistake. Basically, is what they're saying. So
don't let it happen again.
See, I wouldn't have said that, but John. So, we do appreciate you coming on anytime you want to, Bobby.
Hell yeah, Bobby. Hell yeah.
Thank you, guys. I love being on the show.
Even though Fred kept saying, don't let him on, don't let him on.
What? Bobby didn't design Tiger for us. I'm good with him.
Yeah, we'll be back on in 2 weeks, and then we'll be back on a regular schedule unless I go out of town again. It's just the last 4 weeks. 4 weekends I've been out of town. The last 2 weeks I've been in Branson, and then the week before that I was in Dallas with John, and then the week before that I was in Branson again. So,
well, if you wouldn't take those jobs as a contract killer, oh wait,
I'll probably making more money than slinging Red Bull. I'll grant you that.
That is probably true.
But it gives you wings, dude.
No, it doesn't.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Red Bull.
We'll tell you what, I ain't trying to knock on that company, but it all sounds great. It's just the pay sucks ass. It really does. As much hours as I put in a day, it's like, my God, I should just keep my mouth shut, singing through.
Hey kids, welcome to the adult working world. Where all your dreams can be crushed, and no matter what you think you're worth, expect 30% less.
Shit, 50% less. All right. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks. You know where you can pretty much find all of us except for John, as he's not very. He really don't give a shit what you guys.
I'm incognito.
John wants you to show up on his doorstep. That's what he's after. That's what he really wants.
And y'all just message me for his address, and I'll tell you where to go.
Damn you!
Know his address. So, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Be sure to go and like the Facebook page, along with the unofficial GI Joe Collectors Club page, and then of course, like I said, on YouTube. And if you feel squirrely, go like Joe Battleline for some strange reason.
No, I'm out.
They got new content? He got new content out?
Is there
a getting snailed by Rick now?
Yeah, Rick's over there throwing the gauntlet down in your hand.
Oh, wow.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hope you all watching it now or in video form later on. Thanks for watching.
Fried chicken.